You might think that in order to get around certain rules, that having more IRAs gives you more control. Well, think again. Actually, thanks to the IRS rules on account aggregation, many IRAs can become one. This is going to impact you in 4 ways. I'll explain the 4 IRA aggregation rules, that and more coming up. My name's Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Yeah, you might think that the more IRAs that you have, I've got an IRA over here, and I've got an IRA over here, I've got a Roth here, and a Roth there, and a Roth there. The more you have equals more control. Well, unfortunately, the IRS is onto that as well, and they have closed the loophole that many people use multiple IRAs in order to get around. They've closed the loophole by what's called the IRA aggregation rules, where many IRAs at different companies really all are treated as one. Now, you're probably familiar with 1 or maybe 2 ways that these IRA aggregation rules actually work, but there's 4. There are 4 IRA aggregation rules, and in order to plan appropriately ahead and make sure that you're doing wise tax planning and actually not stepping into a loophole or making a huge tax mistake, it's important that you understand all 4 of these IRA aggregation rules. The first IRA aggregation rule has to do with required minimum distributions. That's right, RMDs. And this one you might be familiar with. When you reach age 73, soon to be in a couple years, age 75, but it's at that point that the IRS says, hey, listen, you've delayed the tax on these pre-tax accounts, these IRAs, for too long. We're going to make you start drawing money out so that we can start taxing it. And if you're already drawing money out of your IRAs to supplement your retirement income, Social Security, and that and whatnot, you might be fine. You've got to calculate what the required minimum amount is. And if you're already drawing out more than that, then you're just fine. But if you're not drawing out enough, then you're forced to, at that point, 73 and beyond, or age 75 coming up in the near future, you're required to take out a minimum distribution from your IRAs. Well, this first IRA aggregation rule is that all of your IRAs, no matter how many you have, they're all treated as one. You technically don't have to take an RMD from each one. You can lump all of your IRAs together, get the total amount, calculate the total required minimum distribution, and you can take that entire amount from just one. You can split it up and take a little bit from a couple. You can take it out of 2. You could take a little bit of withdrawal out of each or required distribution out of each. But for this first IRA aggregation rule, all IRAs are combined to calculate the required minimum distribution, and actually all are combined in determining how much or where you withdraw it from. You could just draw your RMDs from one account. This is good. This is positive. It gives you a lot of flexibility. Note that 401ks or 403bs are not lumped into this, okay? IRAs and 401ks and 403bs, they are not all lumped together, just IRAs are, okay? 401ks, old 401ks, those can be lumped together. 403bs have to be treated separately. It's very, very bizarre, and that's why one of the many reasons why we say after you're done working, I would work with your CFP, transition those 401ks, 403bs into IRAs so these rules are easier, because this first IRA aggregation rule with RMDs is actually a benefit to you, where having separate or old 401ks and separate and old 403bs adds complexity. The next 2 IRA aggregation rules has to do with a strategy that you might be familiar with, the backdoor Roth. And this sort of cleans up or clarifies one of the biggest drawbacks and dangers to this backdoor Roth strategy. So this second IRA aggregation rule has to do with non-deductible contributions. Many people, when they look at this idea of, well, I want to contribute to my Roth IRA, I actually make too much money to contribute directly to my Roth, I know what I'll do. I'll contribute after-tax money to my IRA. I won't deduct it, because if you make too much money to contribute to a Roth, you make too much money likely to contribute to a deductible IRA. So I'll contribute to my IRA anyway. I'm allowed to do that if I have earned income. I just won't deduct it. And then I'll move that money, I'll convert that money over to my Roth IRA, and there we go. I just did a two-step where I got money into my Roth, and you know, no issue. Well, if you already have an IRA or multiple IRAs that have pre-tax dollars in them, this second IRA aggregation rule means that even if you set up a separate or third or fourth or fifth IRA that just has your after-tax money, they're all treated as one IRA for the percentage or proportion of how much is pre-tax money, how much is after-tax money. You track that on a Form 8606. It's important that if you are making after-tax contributions to your IRA, you're going to want to make sure you fill out that 8606 every single year so that's tracked and it's tracked accurately. And that flows right into the third IRA aggregation rules, and that is when you're doing a Roth conversion, looking at that proportion, that ratio of all of your IRAs, how much is after-tax money, how much is pre-tax money, and that ratio, that percentage is what is determined, is what is used to determine the taxation of the amount that you converted. So, for example, again, these two IRA aggregation rules are connected. Say, for example, you want to do a backdoor Roth, but you already have a large amount of pre-tax dollars in an IRA. If you open up a separate IRA and you just contribute after-tax money to that one and then convert just those dollars into your Roth IRA, that is completely logical. And yet, these two IRA aggregation rules close that loophole. If you've got a small after-tax balance and you've got a large pre-tax balance, that percentage, that ratio, okay, that's what determines how much of the Roth conversion is taxable when you make that Roth conversion. That is complicated to say, complicated to understand, complicated to do. That's why anytime you're doing a backdoor Roth or considering whether you should, whether that's a strategy that makes sense for you, work with your certified financial planner. Make sure they're helping you in all 6 areas of your financial life to do the proper tax planning to help you avoid mistakes and execute that appropriately. And then the fourth IRA aggregation rule, and this is the one that actually aggregates IRAs and Roth IRAs together, and that is with the 60-day rollover. That's right. A few years ago, 5+ years ago, a new rule came out that limited how many 60-day rollovers you can do in any given year. And it's now limited to just one 60-day rollover every single year. And that's not calendar year. That is every single 12 months. So you wouldn't be able to do a 60-day rollover in November and then do another one in January. Just because those are different tax years or different calendar years, it is 365 days later. That is the limit, and they are specific on that. But it not only includes all of your traditional IRAs, it includes your Roth IRAs as well. This came up recently, had a fan of the show reach out and said, listen, wanting to buy a house, I know you've created a lot of content on the conundrum right now of making a down payment, especially when you're retired. How do you do that if you're buying a house before you sell your house? Create a lot of content on that. You got to work with your CFP to navigate that. But in this situation, he said, I'll do a 60-day rollover for my IRA, and then if I need a little bit more money, I'll do a 60-day rollover for my Roth IRA as well, and then we'll sell our existing house and we'll get the money back into those, the IRA and Roth IRA respectively within 60 days, and we'll be all set. No, that would actually be 2 60-day rollovers all within that 365-day limit, and the limit is 1. The limit is 1. You would the second one would be disallowed. So there you have it. Those are the 4 IRA aggregation rules where the IRS rules takes many IRAs and treats them as one to close some tax loopholes. Work with your certified financial planner so you're aware of these and you apply them and are still able to strategize and do proactive tax planning. If you don't have a CFP on your team that can help you with that, you can contact one of my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.